Other interesting cultural news, you have a mother revealing how a school secretly transitioned her child while she herself battled cancer. This is brought to us thanks to Libs of TikTok, and this is now reason number 9,758,435,007 to not let your kids go to public school, and for the love of God, homeschool them, or find a private school that you very much respect, have a lot of oversight of, and a lot of insight into. Now, it's brought to us thanks to Libs of TikTok, in which she says, quote, mother reveals how her daughter was secretly being gender transitioned at a boys' school while she battled breast cancer and family trauma at home. There's a reason we call them groomers. You have Dr. Phil interviewing her, and I was going to say his voice is infinitely better than mine, so without too much further ado.
How did you first learn that your daughter was living as a boy at school?
Well, my daughter went ahead and told my mother, which my mother immediately told me. So that's how I learned. And when that happened, I reached out to the school and asked them what was going on there.
And what was the explanation you got? Were they open with you then, or were they still evasive? How did they respond?
Well, I got a phone call from the school counselor immediately, and she said that their policy is that they cannot tell me unless the student, which was my daughter, says it's okay for them to tell me. So that their policies did not allow them to let the parents know what was going on.
Okay. At that point, did they talk with you about it openly, or did they still stonewall you? What happened when you did talk to the counselor?
I just told her that wasn't sufficient for me, that why would they ever do something like that? They don't know my daughter. She has never struggled throughout her life with her gender or sexuality. She had been going through a really hard time. Our family that earlier that year had quite a bit of trauma. My dad passed away unexpectedly. And then 6 months later, I got diagnosed with breast cancer. And then she was also in the fifth grade only when this happened and was going through puberty at a very young age. So I think it was accumulation of a lot of different things going on in her mind at a very young age. And it was just a really hard time for her and our family. And she got this idea that she might be a boy because of, maybe some of this confusion over her sexuality, and wasn't really ready at that time to let me know what was going on, and confided in a school counselor. And so it was very alarming to me that she would take the initiative to transition her without even consulting the family and letting us know what was going on at school with her.
As if you needed yet another reason not to go to homeschool, or sorry, not to go to public school and to homeschool your kids. And this should have gone more viral, only got about 100,000 views and 2.5 thousand likes. One of the first comments comes to us thanks to Cash Loren, who says, quote, we must end the public school system, getting 7 likes, which, yeah, people usually make fun of the churches when it comes to instances or high rates of instances of hurting children. That's another issue I have with public schools. They actually have a higher rate of hurting children in a adult way, as I try to keep this moderately family-friendly show. And it's yet another reason not to have your kids go to a public school. Paul Zazupa says, quote, life in prison for the adults at the school who did this, abhorrent, getting 38 likes, and a good scrap award. And, yeah, I think... yeah, a lot of these are state laws. So, like in California, which again was the law which Elon Musk cited as the hair that broke the camel's back. In California law, Gavin Newsom signed it off, saying, "Oh yeah, the kid starts to show signs of want to transition in school. The teachers, they're allowed to withhold that from the parents. Can't tell parents." Yeah, Junita Broderick says, "Quote: We have got to get these groomers out of the school system." Getting 219 likes. Shane Connor says, quote, anyone doing this to a child, especially a child that is not their own, should be put in prison for child abuse. Getting 19, let's make it 20 likes. Billy Megan says most teachers are overpaid, unionized, low IQ child abusers. Yeah, a lot of that money also goes to politicians that, give them cushy jobs and pay them a lot of money to do very little. I got 10 likes. We also have Bombs Over Hey Y'all says, quote, this has to be illegal on so many levels. How can the schools say that they have a policy to not let parents know how and what's going on? How can the transition of a minor student without any consent whatsoever from the parents? Someone needs to be held seriously accountable for these actions. Getting 12 likes. Well, that's actually they made a law because they intentionally made a law. mean, these states want to transition the kids. They want to keep that data away from the parents because the parents would, any parents with modicum of intelligence or heart or soul would abortly, they would obviously say, hell no, you're not going to do that to my child. And hell no, you're not going to hide it from me. So, I mean, these states are intentionally passing these laws, becoming transitioning sanctuaries. It's all very intentional. And there are a lot of benefactors of these types of things. Big Pharma gets a customer for life when they do this to these kids. It's not, I mean, not just physical surgeries, but also the chemicals. It's an ongoing lifetime of maintenance. There are many things pushing these things to happen. You also have Dr. Sherry says, quote, there's only one solution, sue, 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 sue. When it costs more to do that than it is to the kids, it will stop getting 8 likes. Crushing woke culture says, quote, sick beyond words, a mother battling cancer, and these monsters prey on her child behind her back. These quote-unquote educators don't belong in schools. They belong in prison. Yep. And every parent in America needs to wake up. This could happen to your family. Yep, getting 15 likes. Fried eggs on rice. Interesting. Apparently it's a meal and a Twitter profile. I don't know how it could communicate it with us. Perhaps it's GMO or, you know, it's a fancy new technology infused with food so I could type as well. But I'm like partially kidding. Now, this alleged fried eggs on rice says, quote, seems like this is grounds for a lawsuit, especially if they encourage this girl to get any surgery or chemical treatments, unquote, getting 10 likes. Full Bread says, quote, I don't know if I'd be able to hold back if my school did this behind my back. These people are out of control. Parents that are going for your kids, fight back, getting 9 likes. Which, yeah, yet another instance of leftists saying, oh yeah, this is not happening, but of course it was, in fact, and is happening. So, yeah, I hope, I mean, for the love of God, pay attention if you're in a situation where you have to have your kid go to public school, or you feel like you don't have any other choices, and Lord knows our government has screwed us with inflation and making it so that you do in many instances have to have 2 parents working full-time jobs. I mean, you gotta pay extra careful. You gotta go to the PTA meetings, get a copy of the school's curriculum, what kind of books they're putting in the libraries, and they're reading to the kids. I mean, some of these lazy and or corrupt teachers unions also obfuscate the truth, and they actually will refuse to show you their syllabuses, which, as youth might say, is shady as hell. So, as always, I mean, especially stay extra vigilant when it comes to your child's education. And culturally speaking, I do think more and more people are waking up to the fact that this is A, happening, and B, they're going to start pushing for these types of things to end, and they're going to pass more laws that specify that teachers and schools cannot hide this type of information from the parents. And I certainly hope that happens. But let me know what you think the future might hold for this topic, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, trying to get to 6,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you can click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or a comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. And lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.